and welcome. You hear about AI and jobs all the time, right? But what if I told you that all the headlines you see about tech layoffs are just the tiniest tip of a massive iceberg? Well, today we are diving deep into some fascinating new research that shows the huge hidden impact of AI on all of our jobs.
It's really the question on everyone's mind, isn't it? Is AI coming for my job? And the answer, it turns out, is way more complex and frankly a lot more interesting than just a simple yes or no. The real story here isn't about mass unemployment. Nope. It's about a massive and mostly invisible transformation that's already underway.
Okay, so let's really get into this. Think of AI's effect on the economy like an iceberg. The part we all see and talk about, the tech layoffs, the headlines about coders being replaced, that's just the small visible tip. What we're going to explore today is the enormous 90% of the iceberg that's hidden under the water, affecting pretty much every part of the economy in ways you probably haven't even thought of.
So let's start with what everyone's already talking about, the piece of the puzzle that gets all the media attention. But as you're about to see, it is so far from the whole story. To really understand what's happening, we're going to lean on this really powerful tool from MIT called the Iceberg Index. Now, this isn't some crystal ball that predicts the future. Instead, think of it more like a digital twin of the US economy. It actually maps out thousands of different job skills to see what tasks today's AI can already do. It gives us a perfect snapshot of right now. And here is the first number that just might blow your mind. According to this index, all of those visible disruptions we hear about, the tech layoffs, the shifts in IT, they only account for 2.2% of the total wages in the US that are exposed to AI. I mean, sure, that's a big number, about $211 billion, but it's just a tiny fraction of what's really going on.
Okay, so now let's take a deep breath and dive below the surface. This is where the true scale of AI's influence really becomes crystal clear. We're going from that visible tip to the massive, hidden part of the iceberg that is already touching millions of our lives.
And here it is. This is the number that changes everything. When you look at all the hidden tasks that AI can already do, it's equivalent to 11.7% of the entire US labor market. We're not talking about entire jobs, but all those routine, administrative, and operational things that are baked into jobs all across the country.
So what does that 11.7% actually look like in dollars and cents? Well, it represents a staggering $1.2 trillion in annual wages. To put that in perspective for you, that is more than the entire gross domestic product of Australia. And remember, this isn't some forecast for 2030. This is what current AI can handle right now.
And this slide just drives the point home perfectly. I mean, look at that. The bar for the visible impact is completely dwarfed by the hidden impact. We're talking nearly $1 trillion lurking below the surface. This just goes to show that the conversation we're having in public is missing about 90% of the picture. It's huge.
And this is where that hidden impact really lives. It's not just happening in Silicon Valley. The biggest exposure is actually in sectors like finance, for things like data analysis, healthcare for all that administrative scheduling, and professional services for stuff like legal research. AI's reach is already broad, deep, and totally integrated into the core of our economy.
So the MIT study gives us this incredible snapshot of the US today. But what happens when we zoom out and look at the whole world, say over the next decade? How does this massive wave start to ripple across the globe?
Now, it's really important to understand the difference here. The Iceberg Index, that's like a sandbox for right now, a what-if based on today's tech. The global forecasts we're about to look at, from places like McKinsey and the World Economic Forum, these are long-term projections. They're trying to figure out where the currents are going to take us by the year 2030.
And the projections are just massive. McKinsey thinks up to 800 million workers around the world could be displaced, meaning they'll need to find new careers. But then you look at the World Economic Forum, they're forecasting that while maybe 92 million jobs go away, 170 million new ones could be created. That's a net gain. So the key takeaway here isn't the end of work, it's the beginning of a huge global reshuffling of work. And the big question is, are we ready for it? And of course, this wave of change won't hit every part of the world equally. In developed economies like North America and the EU, up to 40% of jobs have some exposure. But in parts of Asia, where manufacturing is still king, that number can shoot up to 77%. And at the same time, slower adoption in Latin America and Africa means less immediate risk, but it also really highlights a growing global divide.
Which brings us to what might be one of the most critical questions of our time. As AI reshapes our entire world, who's going to benefit and who risks getting left behind? Is this technology going to be a great equalizer or a great divider?
Well, the research points to 4 big ways that inequality could actually get worse. First, job polarization. That's where middle skill, routine jobs just get automated away. Second, productivity differentials, where high earners use AI to become even more productive. Third, a shift of wealth from labor over to capital. And finally, access barriers, where unequal training and education just creates a whole new kind of digital divide. But here's the other side of the coin, and it is a powerful one. Some research suggests AI could actually be an incredible equalizer. Some studies show that AI tools can boost the productivity of less experienced workers by up to 20%, helping them catch up to their more senior colleagues. If that's true, it could actually strengthen the middle class, not tear it down. So we have these 2 massive, competing forces at play. And what the data really shows is that we are at a crossroads. The outcome, whether AI creates more prosperity or deeper division, it's not set in stone. It completely depends on the choices that we all make next.
So what's the game plan? Well, the research is pretty clear on the priorities. First, we need massive investments in reskilling and education to get our workforce ready for the jobs of tomorrow. Second, we need regulations that focus on fairness and equal access, making sure everyone gets a chance to benefit. Third, we need global cooperation to support developing nations. And finally, we need to use data tools like the Iceberg Index itself to watch what's happening in real time and adjust as we go.
And this brings us right back to the beginning. The whole point of this incredible research isn't to scare us with predictions of a robot takeover. It's to give us a map. It's a tool for coordination designed to help all of us, policymakers, educators, business leaders, work together to navigate this change and build a future where humans and AI can actually thrive together. In the end, the story of AI and work isn't written yet. AI is a technology, a powerful tool, but tools don't have intentions. People do. So the fundamental question we all have to answer is what kind of world we want to build with it, and who do we want to build it for? The choice really is ours.